Welcome to Restaurant Catering Smarts, your go-to podcast for restaurateurs looking to better operate and grow their catering profit centers. With every episode, you can count on expert advice, innovative strategies, and tasty tips straight from industry leaders. Our purpose is to help your business thrive. So, let's dig in to another juicy episode.
Hello again, I'm Michael Attias, your host of Restaurant Catering Smarts, and today's guest is Amanda Quinn, Director of Catering at Viva Chicken. With years of experience leading catering operations for one of the fastest growing Peruvian rotisserie concepts in the U.S., Amanda has been a driving force behind Viva Chicken's off-premise growth and guest experience strategy. From streamlining catering systems and operations to building strong partnerships across teams, she's helped position Viva Chicken as a go-to choice for flavorful, high-quality catering. Amanda brings a wealth of insight into scaling catering programs with consistency and heart, and we're excited to have her on the show today. But before we get started, let's take a minute to recognize our sponsor, CaterZen Catering Software. They help restaurants turn their catering chaos into calm. Discover why restaurants trust CaterZen to save them time and increase sales. Go to caterzen.com and sign up for a walkthrough of the software. Now let's dive into this episode of Restaurant Catering Smarts. Welcome, Amanda. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Where are you today?
I am in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Nice. I'm in Farwell, Michigan. Population less than 900 and declining.
Is it cold?
It is cold. For this southern boy, it is very cold.
It's cold here. It's 40 degrees. That's cold for North Carolina this time of year.
Up in the low 30s.
Yeah.
So tell me how you got into the catering business. You know, what's your path to where you are now?
I went to school for hospitality management. I did not think that I would be doing catering and off-premise when I was going into college. I really love the idea of like the hotel space and doing that, which I did do that for a little bit when I lived in Denver, Colorado. I started off my catering journey with Nuke's Eatery, the franchise that was here in Charlotte. We had 3 locations, and then that's really where I grew into the off-premise space and marketing side of it. That was so long ago. It was before TikTok and all of the things. And I remember launching some marketing campaigns, and it was still pen and paper, and it was crazy. We are still taking orders with pen and paper.
So how long were you in the hotel, I guess, hotel catering sales?
I did. So I was with IHG for a little bit, about almost 4 years when my husband and I lived out in Denver, Colorado. It was a Holiday Inn, full service. So there was, the restaurant downstairs, which I oversaw, the breakfast restaurant, and then all of our banquet space and all that fun stuff.
So did you go from Nukes to Viva Chicken?
No, I went from Nuke's to the hotel space when we moved out to Denver.
So
I
you
came
started with
back.
Nukes first, then you went to
Mhm,
the hotel space, and
mhm.
then Viva Chicken?
When we moved, my husband and I had our daughter out there, and we were the only ones out there, so all our family lived here. So when she was 6 months old, we moved back to North Carolina. I went back to Nuke's as their vice president. That was for the franchise that was here in Charlotte. Fortunately, that franchise is no longer. So when I left Nuke's, I opened up City Barbecues here in Charlotte, and did all of their off-premise catering sales and all of that. And then I went to Viva, and I've been with Viva for over 4 years, almost 5 years.
Wow. And how many locations do y'all have?
Viva, we have 15 in North Carolina, South Carolina, and St. George, Utah.
And how many sales reps in your organization?
We do not have any designated catering sales reps currently. We do empower all of our management team in each location to do LRM drops that drive, the foot traffic into the restaurant and bonus catering sales off of that. Once we get them into the restaurant, that is easy peasy.
I got you. So, but you oversee the sales for the brand?
Correct. The catering side of it, we do have a catering support center that have 2 amazing ladies in it that keep me going every single day, that do the outreach and the planned, follow-up and, all the fun stuff that goes behind the scenes with gathering those catering sales.
Great. And when you were at Nukes, did they train you on how to sell? Is it something, you threw yourself out there and figured it out the hard way? Where did you cut your teeth on learning how to sell?
I think it was more throwing yourself out there. I preach we were just having this discussion with our GMs on you hire the personality. You can teach anybody how to sell. Um, and really, you know, I'm not a car salesman. I'm not working at the cell phone store, trying to sell the newest iPhone. So you really have to be able to think on your toes and really read the room and change your pitches in the moment. And that just comes from experience. And sometimes even still, I'll fumble over words when I'm talking to a new guest.
Yeah. I was interviewing somebody yesterday and we were talking about the importance of listening and sort of like being able to read the room. And I think that's a
Mhm.
lost, I don't know if it ever was an art. Like I have ADD, so my natural tendency is to want to just blurt it out before I forget it. So I think listening is
Yeah, and then I have to go immediately walk out the door and write things down because I'll forget. I forget what we just talked about the second we do, but I do think it is a skill and you learn it from experience to be able to change your pitch and be able to read that room. And sometimes you go in and nobody wants to talk to you and you're just like, here's a menu. Let's go. Thank you. See you soon.
right.
Or there's somebody that wants to tell you about how they just bought a new fish for their 6-year old and you're in there sometimes for 30 minutes. It's all different.
Yeah, it's definitely about the relationship for sure. Have you heard of the Claude Note pen, the AI pen that they have out?
I have not. Does it listen to you and take notes?
It does. So it's the
Oh, that's
size of
amazing.
let's just say it's less between my one of my fingers. I'm not gonna put the middle finger up, but one of the fingers, sort of like the shape of a pill. You can wear it as a necklace. You can wear it on your wrist. It's got a magnetic back, so you could put it like a lapel pin or whatever, and it will record everything, transcribe it, and give you like bullet points.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
and I think in sales, because there's so much that we don't retain. We think we retain it. It's like watching a movie. You know,
Mhm.
every watch a movie, you pick up different things you missed. To have that recorded, obviously, I would do it with someone's permission. I would just say, "Hey, do you mind if I record this so I don't miss anything?" It
Mhm.
makes for here to have that in a selling
Oh,
situation.
I'm gonna have to look into that because that's something I need. Add it to the
P,
Christmas list.
yeah, PLAUD, and it's maybe it's $99, and of course, everyone's got a subscription, but it's got a
Mhm.
subscription fee to it. Um, so, you know, when you talk about Peruvian chicken, I don't think I've ever had Peruvian chicken. One, describe what makes Peruvian chicken different than regular chicken.
So ours is special. I've had other Peruvian chicken and I know I'm biased. Ours is special. One of our founders, Chef Bruno, he is from Peru. His family still lives in Peru. And it's his recipe. So it is a special blend of spices and it's hand marinated. Um, and then it's rotisserie for 90 minutes. Our ovens are hand built from Peru. So when one goes down, oof, one goes down, because it does happen. But it's a charcoal infused oven, so it gives you that little charcoal. The
The
skin
flavor,
gets crispy, the flavor. It gives you a little bit of a smoke ring too. It's amazing though. So it's juicy, it's tender. It's I've never been to Peru, but it's the chicken and they call it Peruvian street food. It's what you're going to find on the streets of Peru. It's very authentic. One big misconception is people think it's spicy. It's not spicy. It's very flavorful. When you cut in, you can see the juices and the spices run out of the chicken
wow.
because of that hand marinade.
So in the obviously there's this, we'll call it share of catering, right? Any client you have, they're not going to order barbecue every single time or sandwiches every time. How do you feel that your product offering, because it's so unique, helps you in getting more of that share of catering?
It's hard. It really is. And I think again, like I said before, if we get them into our restaurant, we have the house music bumping, the vibe is awesome. And we extend that outside our four walls into the community when we're doing off premise. So if we can get them into our restaurant, it is a sealed deal. Um, and just having those conversations with people about how it's not spicy, how it is approachable. You walk into our restaurant, you might not be able to pronounce the roast chafa, but if we say it's Peruvian fried rice, everybody knows what that
Okay.
is.
Say it
Um,
one more time.
oh, now you're a roast chafa. I hope I said it right.
Oh, arroz chafa?
Uh-huh. It's our
Okay.
Peruvian fried rice. Or like our sauces, we have signature sauces that people buy up by the bottles and keep them in their fridge. I mean, I have a neighbor who will text me and be like, "You got any of that Viva sauce?" Because she's making dinner and she wants to put it on whatever she's making. Um, but making our menu approachable to people, um, from all different backgrounds is huge. And then also showcasing, we have chicken in our name, but we have a ton of vegetarian items. So, showcasing our vegetarian items and having those tags on all of our menus that show that it can be vegetarian and populate in a search is big too.
Wow. Do you sell are the sauces sold in stores or on Amazon?
They are not.
Because I was gonna order some.
I was gonna
That's
say, send me your information. I'll send you some. I've sent them. They hold pretty well overnight with an ice pack, just so you can
okay.
try
But
them.
when I know I'm gonna be someplace for an extended period of time, I'll take you up on that for sure.
Awesome.
Um, when you're describing I've never had Peruvian chicken, but I can imagine very, very flavorful, the smoke ring, the charcoal, something very unique. I would imagine that gives you an unfair sales advantage once they put it in their mouth and they're like, because you have no competition in the Peruvian chicken
We
space,
don't.
right?
I mean, there's some. There is. There's some. There's a lot of, not a lot, but mom and pops. We have one here that's moving, a non-mom and pop, a larger or brand chain that is going to be moving into Charlotte. That we know about. We've had their food. It's very similar to ours, so we have to start thinking about what sets us apart. Um, I would hope they were thinking that too, what sets them apart, because we have been open here in Charlotte for 13 years, so we do have a very large following and that brand recognition already built in, but it's growing so much, all of our markets are, with the new people coming in, that we have to figure out how to capture those guests too.
I mean, it seems like back years ago, you could have a good brand and you could just sit on your laurels, so to speak. I mean, you still had to have good
Mhm.
food and service, but like when I moved into Nashville and opened up Corky's barbecue franchise, like it was definitely ripe for the picking. You had the good old boys that have been there forever and did it the old fashioned way. And we brought in probably a little bit better style of barbecue. In my opinion, obviously I'm biased.
Mhm.
And now if you look at the people who are dominating the marketplace, they've raised the level of the product and the service and the ambiance and the atmosphere. And it's like, it just never ends. It,
Yeah, and that's one thing you said, the ambiance and the atmosphere and the service. In our restaurants, we preach and we practice it every day, hospitality. So we're fast casual. You order at the counter, you get a number, you sit down, we bring you your food. However, we really, really practice hospitality in that space, and it's a full service mentality in a fast casual space. I was in a restaurant yesterday with $8,000 of catering going out of that one location, and they
wow.
still had their person in the front of house going around filling water, getting refills, getting, silverware if you need it. Can I get you anything? So not give away all our secrets, some of our secrets, but I think that part really sets you apart, especially after the pandemic when we're trying to increase our restaurant dine-in sales. Um, is one thing that sets us apart. You can still get your food fast on your lunch break, but you still get that level of service.
Are you worried about giving out I have a thought on this, but I wanna get your thought. Are you worried
Yeah.
about giving out we'll call them secrets, playbook, company secrets?
No, I can't give you our chicken recipe, but
Well,
I
recipe,
learned
I agree.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry, what was that?
No, recipe, I agree. I would never give anyone my
Yeah.
recipe.
No, I mean, this group, this industry, it is so close and tight knit. I love every time I talk to somebody or have lunch with somebody, even if they're not in the restaurant industry, I learn something. So if I could ever help anybody succeed and learn something different, I would be happy to. I'm not worried about competition of people per se, because like you said before, it's a relationship. It's a personality. You need to build that with that person or with your guests. So if I have that and it is a true, then I'm not worried about, somebody else coming and I joke, I'm going to give away all my secrets, but I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I have found even if you gave someone your exact playbook, most people aren't gonna do the things that made you
Mhm.
successful, right? I've actually sold marketing systems I've had build catering sales out of a restaurant to my competitors in my own market, and guess how much of it they implemented?
0.
Zero. I
10%
mean,
maybe even.
yeah,
Yeah.
not even. And so I'm not really worried about that. And if they did, they're going to put their twist on it with their branding and their people, and it's going to be their twist because it's very difficult to replicate somebody else's because there's 1,000 touch points in Viva Chicken, right? Like you talked about the
Mhm.
hospitality, the music, the the charcoal, the this, the that. It's not just one, we're refilling water at the table. It's all in totality. And you know
Mhm.
what? Pick up one little tip from someone, that's great. You add that to your playbook or what you're doing, and it makes you a little bit better. But it's not going to all of a sudden cause your competitors to shut the door because we're starting to pour water in the dining room.
Yeah, I agree.
So, what percentage of your time is spent overseeing, worrying about focus on operations versus sales and marketing or sales, marketing?
I would say most of the time it's 50-50. We have a really, really good team. We have our DMs that oversee our restaurants, and then we have a solid set of GMs um, that are invested. And I think a big part of that is if you show that you care and that that you are invested, your team is going to get invested. So like yesterday we had a monster day and I was in a restaurant. They didn't need me, but I was there to support them, so operation wise, doing that, it's minimal. It's more of a wave your flag and say, I'm here, have some donuts. I'm
Right.
here if you need me, support you. Thank you for doing, a cheerleader
Right.
position, more or less. I mean, they had it down packed. They didn't need me. Um, and our founder was there too. And he's like, what am I doing here? He was
Right.
coming to help.
Those are always the
But
best.
yeah, it's very refreshing to be able to walk in and not worry. I've been with brands where I've worried and it keeps you up at night. And that's not how it is here. We have a really, really solid team. And like I mentioned before, a solid team here at our home office with answering all of our phones and trying to get those catering orders and putting them through our system. So I don't know so much of a 50-50%, but outreach is a big part of it. So I would love to say that the sales part and the outreach and that relationship building is probably less than I would love it to be, like it to be. But hopefully here now that we can get through holiday season, then we'll start ramping that back up in first of the
Yeah.
year.
So on a high level, what is your sales playbook for bringing in new business to the brand?
Sampling. Sample, sample, sample. If we can get if we can get out into the community and sample our food and invite them, our idea is to invite them into the restaurant. Then they get to have our food for a second time. And then once they are able to go back and tell whoever they work for, their office, oh my God, I had this great lunch at Viva Chicken. And then they're like, oh yeah, they cater too. And you order for 10, 15, 20 people. Then that's paid sampling. So now I just reached 8 out of those 10 people probably haven't had Viva before, even here in Charlotte where we've been around for 13 years. So then that paid sampling now just bought me 8 Viva fans, right? Um, so is the hardest part actually is getting out there and sampling, you know, because something's always going to come up in our restaurant. Something, someone's going to call in. You're going to get that crazy lunch rush. So we've learned that if you write it on your schedule and you make time and you plan and you execute that plan, it happens. So our restaurants are averaging 20 to 30 drops a week. And that's going out sampling within a 5-mile radius of their restaurant, talking to people, inviting them in. And we show
So
some good success from that.
do they work off of a list, or is it more geographic? Hey, I'm going to hit this office park this week or this building. How do you keep up with all that? Because obviously it's it just Charlotte alone, it's like a Nashville. It's a big
Huge. Yeah.
market.
Yeah. It's more geographic, and we leave it up to the management team to decide. They'll see, I'll use Duke Energy, for example, because it's big in Charlotte. They'll see somebody with, the Duke Energy shirt or a name tag or name badge come into the restaurant. They'll jot it down, think, okay, that means they're somewhere close by. I mean, most of our GMs have been with us for a long time too, so they know what's near them, and we really empower them to be a mayor of their own town. I don't want a catering guest to say, oh, I know Amanda. I want them to say, oh, I know so and so, because that's their GM, that's their town, be a mayor of your town. So
Right.
we really empower them to choose where they're going. And then they submit a form with a copy of the, picture of the business card, any notes, this is a hot lead, cold lead, and it filters through to our catering support center, and they follow up with everyone that comes through. And then they'll change their lead status on how that conversation went. And then we will schedule in about a month, depending on the conversation, for a third touch point. We'll keep track if they order or not. We get a lot of feedback of, I only have 3 people in my office. That's great. Then they're restaurant guests. So then we will invite them in, maybe send them something with, like, do you have a loyalty account? Send them some points in their loyalty to get them in. But it's a lengthy process. The sales cycle is a lot of touch points.
I think you're the first person I've talked to that has that playbook. And I like it where, I like mayor of your own town kind of concept.
Mm-hmm.
GM is out there touching the people, but the GM doesn't have time to work the leads, and you've got a team to work the leads. So that seems
Correct.
like
And
it's
it's
a
not always, yeah. And I mean, we want our GMs, when they're working on their shift, to be in the restaurant, because if we invite all these people in and the execution falls short, then all of our efforts are done, right? So we don't necessarily need our GMs out there, but they are hiring the personality, or they have someone in their team that lives and speaks Viva, right? That they trust, that can go out. But with their business card and that person, Susie's saying, hey, come see us. I work, lunch shift Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Me and John are there. He's our GM. Would love to have you in for lunch. Those kind of conversations are happening. So it's not necessarily always our GM that's going out,
But
but
you've
they
got
own
somebody
the
on the
process for
store
sure.
level that's touching them. And most people on the store level, because they're doing their jobs, they don't have time for the follow-up. Are you putting them
Correct.
in a what I would call a master database, so you send out a monthly email blast to stay in front of them, so, there's
We
a special
do. And yeah, so when they make the actual sample, the first touch, the sample drop, they will submit if it's a hot or a cold lead. And then in the notes, they'll say, oh, this is a hot lead, follow up date for catering. If it's a cold lead, that's more of a restaurant. So then it goes into those two different funnels. If it's a catering lead, it will go into our catering database. If it is a restaurant lead, it goes into our restaurant database. And yeah, those, they get added to the email list. We do not have a lot, honestly, of unsubscribed people. We get a lot of responses back that says, "Oh, thank you. That churros that you guys brought were great." So we do get some good responses from it, and we're not spamming people. Um, but we do reach out and then have our cadence of, if they order, then we send them the thank you for ordering. But if they don't, then in 30 days, we'll say, "Hey, we have this going on this month. How's your Christmas party looking?" That kind of thing.
That's awesome. And are you doing a lot of, follow-up marketing to your existing clients, like, people haven't ordered in a while, rebooking annual events? Is the
Mhm.
team talked about, is that part of their responsibility as well?
Yep. Yep. That's our catering support center. So they'll do the 30, 60, 90 reports is what I call them, where they'll pull some lapsed guests. And then we look forward, especially this time of year, 30, 60 days for any larger orders to see if they're doing it again. And we had one over the summer last year. Um, that was 3 shifts, $36,000. Um, so, we're gonna definitely reach out to that person again.
For sure.
Just it was an employee appreciation event. So can we do that again for you? This is what we can have to offer if you don't want to repeat the same menu, give something a little new.
Oh, that's a great idea. So when you were in the hotel business, I'm guessing the sales was a little bit more formal, more structured,
Mhm.
more advanced. What takeaways were you able to take from the hotel sales, catering sales environment and bring into Viva Chicken and Nukes? And, what did you bring with you from that experience?
It is definitely way different. I mean, I think that might have been where I learned to read my room the most efficiently because you're dealing with baby showers and then you're dealing with corporate 50, 60, 100 people meetings. So that is where you really have to fine tune your pitch and your approach. Um, what I it was a town outside of Denver, so it was a smaller town, um, suburb, and there wasn't a lot of me having to go out and hit the pavement and talk to people, but it was a lot of building that relationship base, especially with those corporate clients, because we wanted them to keep coming back and using our meeting space. We didn't want them to go to the next town over because there was a new, Hampton Inn with a great ballroom that got built. So I think that was where I really learned how to change my pitch and your approach and where, that guest is really thinking of you have to really, really listen because they're complete every person that walked into that room was completely different.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Obviously, you're very well networked in the restaurant catering community. Um, what do you, not calling out names or anyone in particular, but what do you see the biggest area of opportunities that brands are missing out on that they should be doing? Or, if you were catering queen for the day, what would you be telling
Hmm.
people? Hey, this is what you need to put into practice.
I don't think a lot of people are sampling. I know I've talked about sampling pretty much this entire time. Um, that was something that was drilled in. I remember pre-pandemic when I was working for a different brand, I would go and I would follow the Jimmy John's guy around because he got me into that elevator, he or she. So I would follow them around to all these different buildings because he would have 12 deliveries in a corporate park. Um, So I think, and then, when then the pandemic and not a lot of people returned back to work, there's a lot, even still in Charlotte, there's a lot of empty office buildings. So we'll go out and we'll sample, and it's not like what it used to be in, 2018, 2019. It's not the same. I think sampling's big. I do think that you just have to plan a little bit better now. You can't just go out and say, I'm going to go here. You have to do a little bit more research. Thank goodness for ChatGPT. She helps me a lot because they're very helpful on trying to see who's in office and call ahead. Do your research. Say, hey, I want to make sure you're here today, because a lot of them are hybrid now too. Charlotte at least is a huge banking town. So the return to work this year has really ramped up. But we still have to do our research and just say, hey, I'm with Viva. I'm near your building, doing another delivery. I would love to bring you some lunch. Is that okay with you? Not many people say no. I think I've been told no once this year.
Wow. I always find in every interview there is this golden nugget, and this is a gold bar that I don't want to overlook, is if you're wondering how to build your catering sales, you're not a prospector, you don't know what to do. One of my mentors says success leaves clues. Well, that's what you really described with Jimmy John's. So figure out who are the big power corporate, restaurant caterers, follow those around. In our town is probably Jason's Deli, it's Moe's,
Mm-hmm.
it's Chick-fil-A. You could get rich off their crumbs, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that is
And you don't have, or at least we don't have the marketing budget that a Chick-fil-A does or a Jason's Deli does. You got to get scrappy.
right. I love that idea. So as we sort of close out, AI is the buzzword everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
One, what are you doing with AI to help your catering business? Two, where do you see AI moving to help the catering business?
Currently, ChatGPT is my best friend, use her all the time. I'll put in, give me 10 businesses, 50 or more people who order lunches in Monday through Friday with this zip code, and put in a zip code. It pulls reviews that people have left on any platform to see, and it will give you the frequency of ordering, and it will list 10. I mean, we do 10 at a time, just not to overwhelm her. And then you can say, now route me the most efficient driving route to drop off samples. And it will route you to where you're not backtracking. It tells me how I need to drive. It tells me where to go. It's amazing.
I've gotten 2 gold bars from you today.
You're showing my age, I think, now. That just means I've been doing this too long.
No, not at all. Not at all. You don't have to have a high age to be a genius. So I really appreciate you sharing these nuggets with us today, gold bars.
Absolutely.
And I hope it warms up today in Charlotte.
I know. It will. It's that time of year where you need a jacket in the morning and then you'll be in a tank top in the afternoon.
I know. Thanks again, Amanda. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank
Take
you.
care.
It was fun talking to you.
You've been listening to Restaurant Catering Smarts. For more insights and episodes, make sure to follow along, subscribe, and share at caterzen.com.